Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Queen of Community Conversation. Dr. Claudia Fowler is your host, your community connector. So today we're doing it on a Friday. You know, y'all usually do a Thursday show, but today's going to be a Friday show because it's a very special segment. I want to start out by dedicating this show to a dear friend of mine who I lost several years ago to breast cancer. So we want to say, BD, rest well, my friend, and we'll see you on the other side. And we still love you and still talk about them good old nachos you would always cook. I used to love her nachos. So we want to say again, good morning to all of you all that are listening here on the Queen of Community Conversation, powered by the Afterpartyradio.com. Is the program manager. Just wanted to give it to our program manager and owner here at the Afterpartyradio.com. So on today's show, let me go ahead and do my announcements. Tamco presents Melissa Pierce Project Incorporated second annual golf tournament 2025, November the 14th through 8 a.m. at the Golf Club of Dallas. If you've not been there, they're literally right up the street, and they are a beautiful facility. Again, 2200 West Redbird Lane. Tamco presents Melissa Pierce Project second annual golf tournament. Sponsorship levels right quick are platinum 15,000, gold 10,000, and silver 5,000. I know I don't have any of those levels, but I can see what I can do on what is it? Not platinum. What's the other one? The gold plate. You have a gold plated level, all right? So and it's 16 players, 12 players, 8 players, and 4 players. And I guess you golfers would know what that means. But thank you to Shalonda Gallimore of the Joppa community for sending this in. And this is a fundraiser for our purpose of getting a multi-purpose center in the Joppa community. Again, it's committed to cultivating community while honoring history through arts, recreation, and education in the Joppa community. And if you don't know, Melissa Pierce was the daughter of a former slave. I'm going to give y'all some more of that in February for Black History Month. I know y'all just want to know what's going on. Who is Melissa? Okay, we're going to move that one. Healthapalooza from Parkland's having a community resource fair tomorrow at Keith's Recreation Center from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Health resource, safety, mental health information, support for new moms, games, snacks, and more. We're going to have snacks. I'm going to have to go buy. They're going to be having snacks. Mount Tabor Baptist Church over in Highland Hills, the Hills, is having a health fair. Theirs is not until November 22nd, so I'll keep telling you all about that one. And it's going to be an all-day, seemingly an all-day event. At our health fair, you have the opportunity to look to improve ways your mental health. Dallas Metro Care would be there. Some things about health insurance. So they got a whole array, and we'll get into that a little bit more as the month goes on. My friends at the library gave me the Dallas Opera truck. I'm not an opera fan, but I'm going to go to this one. They said, join us, the Three Little Pigs, Highland Hills, Branch Library. Saturday, November the 8th, performance starts at 11 a.m. Free educational pop-up performances, 30 to 40-minute family-friendly productions. And they said it's going to be like a big 18-wheeler for the opera thing and all that. So it should, at least excite the children. One or two more. Dallas Fort Worth Mass Choir and DFW Mass Legacy Choir will be getting the Life Achievement Award recipient. They're the Life Achievement Award recipient at the 10th Annual Ability Awards. That's going to be tomorrow night. Well, it started actually tonight. It's a 3 or 4 day event. And the new venue alert has been they're going to be at Turning Point Church, right up the road, at 1020 East Pleasant Run Road in DeSoto, Texas. Again, the Ability Awards, and I think they have a few tickets left. Good morning, Glenn Robinson. I think they have a few tickets left, so hopefully you can get in. I know I'm going to be up in the house because I want to see the Dallas Fort Worth Mass Legacy Choir. As you all know, I had Glenn and Charles Fletcher on my show a few weeks back. And the last one we want to talk about is Paul Quinn Homecoming 2025. The Quinn Night Nation will be celebrating with a parade starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they have, the PQC versus Jarvis. They got a game going on tomorrow night. This is going to be a lot of things. I know they're having the Dallas Police Department and the Omega Psi Phi is going to be doing a basketball game. I'm not going to put my money on that one. I know them boys from Omega Psi Phi, they're going to be hustling. But DPD, we love you. And also on Sunday, Keo Gamble, who has been a part of my life since he was a little boy, He talked about on Facebook that he's going to be doing free barbecue dinners up at Faithful Missionary Baptist Church starting at 2 o'clock. No questions asked, no money involved. Pull up, get your family some food, at least for that day. And he's doing this out of his pocket. I'll be up there slinging corn and doing green beans or whatever else you have in beans. But if you want to let people know that he will be doing free dinners at Faithful Missionary Baptist Church on Bonneview next Sunday at 2 o'clock. So again, and this show is partly sponsored by the Melissa Pierce Project from the Joppa community. Again, thank you, Shalandria, for thinking of us for your advertisement needs. All right. So now today's show is on Pink Out. You know, we talk about October again being such a busy month with, excuse me, as I said earlier, the state fair, breast cancer, domestic violence, PB, Grambling, HBCU, but we focus a lot on breast cancer, as we should. So today's guest I have on here is a lady I've been knowing all of my life, really since high school, and that's Mrs. Lydia. She is the founder and CEO of Pink Diamonds. Now, I got some diamonds over there. They're not pink, but I got as close as I could get. And she is a mogul in the community from NAACP now to having her own nonprofit. We also have Mrs. Crystal Brown Tatum, and she is Crystal Clear Communication CEO and founder. Now, she has been I'll let her tell you about all of her accolades, but when I saw Mrs. Louisiana and Miss Congeniality, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to put on my best today because I got a runway model in the studio. So I want to tell you all this much. I've read their stories, and I have some suggested reading we'll talk about at the end. But either you need to get your Kleenex first and then get your shouting shoes on. Because these two got something to tell you. They got a story to tell. So I'm going to start out now with Lydia. Kind of tell me a little bit about your journey, of surviving the storm. And that's the name of this one today. It's Surviving the Storm. And we've all been through every type of turbulent weather for a real storm. Everything from thunderstorms, like I told them at my church when I talked a few years ago, a few weeks ago. I've actually been through a tornado when I was in high school, Wilma Hutchins High School. The tornado you were here. So I've actually been through a storm, but nothing can compare because that storm seemingly was just over. It comes and it's over with. Mm-hmm. When you talk about breast cancer, especially the day that you were diagnosed, kind of tell us, my listeners, what was that like that day?
It obviously was something that floored me because I had no anticipation of ever having breast cancer, family of no history at all. But I love the nomenclature you've created through the storm because this is truly a journey of many, many storms that you go through. Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. And if there were 8 women in this room and they all stood up, I can guarantee you one of them will end up with breast cancer.
Wow.
I started my nonprofit 5 or 6 years ago after 4 of my closest friends died from breast cancer. And
you all attended the same church?
Yes, we all attended St. Luke United Methodist Church.
Okay.
And it was just really bizarre that all of us would get it around the same time frame. And all 3 of them died. And I was still alive, and I knew God had a purpose for me to stay alive.
Right.
And so that's why I started Pink Diamond Survivors of Cancer. Our mission, I call a movement, is strictly to raise money for women who are uninsured and underinsured going through breast cancer. We do not have salaried people. I'm not salaried, but we work like people who are salaried. We do everything we can to ensure that women who are going through breast cancer do not have to make this journey alone. There's nothing worse than the thought of some woman having breast cancer, no one to go with them to chemo, no one to take them to and from chemo. I mean, there are a whole plethora of things that comes along with having breast cancer. The journey is really varied. Our group, not only do we raise money, we do things like provide knockers, knitted knockers, which is an international company that we were awarded the franchise in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for women who do not have breasts. Mastectomies, lumpectomies, or whatever, we provide these knitted knockers.
Okay.
And they're at 15, no, I take that back, it's up to 16 now, different locations, Parkland, Methodist. Uh,
So when
oh,
you go into like the hospital, like Parkland Medical City, they're in like the gift shops or.
no, they're given out by the oncologist nurse navigators
Oh,
for
okay.
people who need them to put in their bras to, substitute for the breast mass. More and more women are opting not to do reconstruction. And I have not had reconstruction. I've had two double mastectomies, and I've decided that breasts want to kill me. So I will not even wear the knitted knockers. I don't put anything on my breast.
So do you think that the trend has changed from when women started, breast cancer, got on the rise, and then people and women wanted to, like you said, have reconstruction surgery. So you think that the trend is now changing?
I think it's changing because of the fact that, I had reconstruction, and then the cancer grew on top of the prostheses, on top of the reconstructed breast, and it was external cancer then. And you never want to see anyone who has external cancer because it's really just, it's debilitating to even look at it. But at any rate, we do provide the knitted knockers, and they're always free.
Okay.
Always free. Knitted Knockers International, we provide knockers for people in China, Japan, Africa, the Caribbeans, all over the world. We provide these knockers. We also were awarded by Uber, and the only breast cancer group I know in the Metroplex. We were awarded by Uber a chunk of money to get women to and from treatment. And we are very proud of that fact that we can provide that service. And if possible, we'll try to get someone to go and pick people up and take them to service treatment. But it's so much easier if, in fact, we have that Uber service available for some women because of their locality. In addition, this has been our seasons of the Passover. I call it, we do something called Passover wreaths. These wreaths we give to women who have survived or thriving, because not all women have gotten through breast cancer, because I'm one of those persons. I still have breast cancer. But we call them Passover wreaths. Our group of women, and it's a large group of women who are committed to this effort. And we make these wreaths, beautiful wreaths. I think I
saw
even
them when you sent me
oh
the
God, they're
picture.
beautiful. We do these wreaths and we give them away again. We've probably spent about $5,000 on wreaths, just making wreaths, giving them away to women who are going through or have gone through breast cancer. And they're called Passover because of in Exodus 16:13. God, when the Israelites were going through their difficult stage, and He told them to put the blood on the door and that death would pass them by. And so we consider these wreaths indications that they have bypassed, death has bypassed them. And so we give those away. And then we give away books to women who have been newly diagnosed with breast cancer. We don't spring forth with that working knowledge of how breast cancer is going to affect you, how to get a good oncologist, how to do a plethora of items that will prolong your life expectancy with breast cancer. So we give those books away as well. And this year we got a hospital who's actually sponsoring them, because previously we were just buying them and giving them away. But that's those are our four main things we do, in addition to all the monies that we raise to give away. And we have one-on-one relationships with women as well who are going through breast cancer.
You all just had a big event.
Yeah, we did. We just had a big event. We had a big health fair, and we had over, I think it was over 250 bicyclists. They go from 5, and I still can't believe that people can bicycle, like 50 miles. But they do. A former.
Well, I couldn't do 5.
I can't either. I can't either. Our former mayor pro tem for Duncanville, Mark Cooks, is the person who puts this together every year, and he and his little wife, they diligently get out there and find the cyclists, and they give a large percent. I mean, the monies that they give us are just really important to our operation as well. So we do a lot. We have a lot of good sponsors. Our biggest sponsor is HEB, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
We have lots of sponsors. All the hospitals are sponsors. They provide sponsorship dollars for us as well. And We just gave all our money away on last Saturday night, and now we got another piece of money. Luby was a big sponsor for us this
Okay, I
year.
seen that on your page.
Yeah, Luby was a big sponsor for us this year. I'm going to pick up a check again, another check today. So,
Got to get down here.
yeah.
But I know here on the Mayo Clinic, it said that approximately, as you just said, 1 in 8 women, 13% in the U.S. will develop invasive breast cancer at some point in their life. While advances in screening and treatment have reduced the overall risk of death from the disease, the number of people diagnosed with breast cancer, and it does include men, I think in part of the 13%, breast cancer continues to rise. So it says in 2025, just this year, approximately 316,950 women will be diagnosed. Now the year is not even up yet, and this was updated on October 10th, which is my birthday. It was updated on that day. So now I'm going to move on to you, Mrs. Tatum. Can you tell us a little bit about you? Where you from? Because you asked me, are you from Dallas? Whenever people ask you, that's kind of like, either they're not from Dallas or they're from Dallas, and we just never met. And by the way, it was such a beautiful thing when they got off the elevator. These two was just chit-chatting about, where were you? I just saw you. I'm like, oh, no introduction needed. They already know each other. Come up on the elevator. And I thought that was such a cute thing. Y'all just, chit-chatting about what y'all had just seen each other. And then sometimes you go in the store and somebody say, I know you. No, you don't. And then you get to talking, I was just over there. You sure right, girl. So tell us a little bit about you, your company, and I saw it about the triple
negative breast cancer. Yeah. So I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I was an Air Force daughter. My father retired from Brooks. My mother was she is a registered nurse. She's retired now. My father was a pathologist. So growing up, I have a brother who's a registered nurse, a brother who's an EMT, lots of healthcare workers in the family.
Okay.
When I got married in 2007, I was 35 years old. I had a 13-year-old daughter. So my husband and I actually discovered my lump while we were dating. I was putting lotion on after a bath, and I had a little lump in the armpit region. Didn't think too much of it because it didn't hurt, and I seemed healthy.
And that's why self-care, self-examination is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I ignored it for 8 months, ignored the lump for 8 months. And when I went home, I asked my mother and I asked my brother and my sister-in-law, who are all registered nurses, to feel the lump. Most people thought it was a reaction to cheap deodorant, or that it was a swollen gland from a sinus infection. So I had breast cancer and didn't know it. I waited 8 months, and by the time I got to see a doctor, I saw a wonderful doctor in Shreveport, Dr. Kevin Marler. Within 96 hours of the first office visit and the biopsy, I was diagnosed with stage 3A triple negative breast cancer.
During your first exam, it was stage 3 already?
It was stage 3 already. Okay. And had I gone initially when I found the lump, it might have been stage 1, might have been stage 0. And that's why it's so important for young women to be aware of their bodies and know their bodies. The problem that I see it in the breast cancer community at the time, I didn't see a lot of women that look like me on commercials, on editorials, on billboards.
Doing the walks.
No, I was 2007, when I thought of breast cancer, I thought of older Caucasian women, because those are the faces of the brochures in the doctor's office, on the pharmaceutical commercials. Again, this would have been 18 years ago. It's gotten a little more inclusive, but I still think that most young black women do not have breast cancer on the brain, especially if you look healthy. Breast cancer doesn't hurt. So you can have a tumor growing and going on about your life, not having your mammograms, and really setting yourself up for an advanced stage diagnosis. So I was actually in Washington, D.C. I was actually lobbying for the American Heart Association when I took the phone call, and the nurse was like, no, we agreed to tell you in person. And I kind of forced her to tell me, and she said, this is a part of my job I hate. It's breast cancer. And I'm on a bus with only a handful of people that I know. I jump over into the seat of a woman that I had known for several years. We lobbied together, and she happened to be a cancer survivor. I believe hers was colon. And I remember crying in her shoulder and thinking, I'm going to have to tell my husband of 1 month that I have breast cancer. And again, being a 35-year-old woman with that diagnosis, it's kind of a blur now because it's been 18 years. I know my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 80, and she committed suicide in 2006 at the age of 85. So she never got to see me go through my journey, but I do feel that I carried her spirit and her strength with me through my own journey. And so within 3 months, I had lumpectomy, I had chemotherapy, I lost all my hair. And there's been a lot of articles written about me and my hair journey because as a pageant contestant and someone who modeled, hair was really important to me. And I almost did not do chemo because I didn't want to lose my hair. I didn't think I could function in a world with no hair. And I'm so proud of my daughter and my best friend Salima, who encouraged me, make your own decision. Salima said, I just don't want to be sitting next to you on a couch 5 years from now and you're crying because you didn't do the chemo. So without telling anybody, I drove to a salon and I asked the young girl to shave my head. She cried the whole time she did it. And I was like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, I had to do this for my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
When I looked in the mirror afterwards, I was still the same me.
Yeah.
I felt just as pretty. I felt just as competent, there was nothing that I lost in the hair. And nowadays, wigs and hair pieces are so beautiful. It's commonplace. I mean, women of all walks wear extensions and wigs. So once I got past that, I felt like I was in control of the cancer because the anxiety from the unknown was taking over my decision making. So after treatment, because I couldn't find a book that was authored by a young black woman that talked the language that I would have wanted someone to talk to me, I wrote a book called Saltwater Taffy and Red High Heels.
Oh, wow.
To my surprise, it's had global success. Women from the Philippines, from Europe have written me, and they're like, we really love this book. It's funny. It has pictures of me through every step of the treatment, surgery, what a port looks like. And I really wanted just to have a memoir as part of my legacy, but also just so young black women, you got to have somebody relatable. And I appreciate all the support groups that I was invited to, but I'm sitting in the room. I was typically the only African American woman. I was the youngest woman. And while women have a lot in common, there were just some discussions or some dialogues that I didn't feel comfortable having with people who really couldn't relate to my walk, right? Some of the sexual questions I had as a newlywed, I don't want to talk about that in a room full of 70-year-old women. So, so again, that's my journey. I'm 18 years out. I was given 3 years to live. I actually fired that doctor and got a new one that could offer me a little more, And one thing that's really important, I always share this. When she gave me that 3 years to live, she brought out this chart. And she's holding up this chart, and she's like, with your age and your staging, this is your prognosis. And I said, what was the average age of the woman in that study? She's like, I don't know. I said, what is the ethnicity of the women in that study? And she was like, I don't know that either. And I was like, what is the ethnic, background, the nationality? And she was like, I don't know. I said, but you're giving me an outcome based on this study of 100 women. Those women could have been in their 80s. They could have been all Asian women. Like, I don't think that was fair. And so, when you're told you have 3 years to live and you're 35 years old and you have a new husband and you have a 13-year-old daughter, you really have to have some tough decisions. How do you want to spend the rest of your life?
And at that point in your life was good.
It was
new
good.
Husband, daughters now, teenager, going to her.
Yep, had just moved to Shreveport into a home. My daughter and I had always had an apartment, so we had a home now. You just have to decide what you want the rest of your life to be, and do you want to make an impact? And so for me, I live every day to the fullest.
Right.
People are always like, girl, you're always doing something. You're always at this show, or you're always on a trip, or you're always at brunch. Because I don't know the in between. I don't know if my cancer will come back, but when and if it ever does, I did something meaningful in the in between. I didn't let people stress me out. I didn't sit at home being angry and worried. I'm a positive person. And sometimes that light, it makes unhealed people angry, right? That's their cross to bear. For me, I'm living my life with purpose. Sitting here with you all, sharing my story, to me, that is purposeful.
Thank you so much.
And so I just hope people embrace the time that they have.
So when we talk about self-exam, like you said, you discovered it. You discovered
Putting
that.
lotion
I was
on.
just at a with Howland Hills Library, going to the hills, and they did a Parkland did a breast cancer seminar or whatever, and it was like only me in the room and a couple of more people. I said, well, did y'all advertise? We just kind of thought we would just catch people up here. I'm like, well, no, these kind of things, especially when we talk about breast cancer awareness, domestic violence awareness, prostate cancer, anytime there's a health issue, you have to lobby people to say, this could be you. Have you checked out? You have family members or whatever. So I have to say that when I heard that you had been ill, my first thing was ill when. I said, because I've always seen her. It's like you never stopped. You never stopped, and I guess that's one of the most important things that you have to talk about and let people know. Like you said, you just can't stop. You have to keep going. And I know there's a downtime because of treatment and
definitely.
chemo and all that. But you all ring the bell.
They wouldn't let me ring the bell.
Would not let you ring the bell.
Because I'm metastatic and the triple negative stage 4, same thing that she had. But I wanted to comment on something that you said about what they had told you about your life expectancy. And I had to fire my oncologist for that very same reason, because that was all I was ever told, is that I had 5 years left to live. And whenever I hit the 5-year anniversary, it was always, you've had 5. I mean, it was like a death toll.
She would literally walk in the room, and it was disappointing because she was a black woman, and she'd say, "You're still here." Or she'd say, "Your PET scan is clear. I can't believe it." And it just, our dynamic, our patient-provider dynamic became almost combative. Like, instead of embracing my wellness, she was always like, "Can't believe it."
I kept asking my oncologist after having almost 3 years of chemo, and I was always on the harsh chemo because it was triple negative, and he felt that was the only way to address it. And his deal is that, I did survive. I've survived the chemo, but it was never an opportunity to believe that some point in time I would get past this cancer. I spent most of my days during that time, when I wasn't up and in the community, at home, crawled in a ball, waiting for the next wave of nausea to pass through. I am really just thankful that I did figure out I needed to take charge of my disease.
Okay.
I did not need, I tell people when I do presentations, I thank God and good insurance for my survival.
Absolutely.
And I recognize finally that, this man was not God, and he was not me, and so I had to take charge of my survival. I would ask for clinical trials, and I still strongly advocate for clinical trials. I am not convinced that the chemo they infuse in us is really addressing the type of virulent cancer that we have. Our DNA is different. Those same 100 people that your doctor didn't know, who were probably 70 years old and probably Anglo, those are the same ones who they have decided that this is the kind of chemo you should take. And I was so proud to hear you say you only took 3 infusions.
4 of 6.
4 of 6, because you realized.
So there is a beautiful story behind that, and I'll make it brief. On my second appointment after the chemo, again, I'm 35 years old. She walks in and she says, "You didn't want to have children, did you?"
Oh, jeez.
And I said, yeah, my husband doesn't have any children. And she was like, we probably should have talked about this before you started
Jesus.
chemotherapy. And
I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad I'm not your sister. I mean, we're not sisters now. You know what? Who is this chick?
we definitely should have had a fertility conversation before I started
Long before
chemo.
you started at your age.
So I was on my 4th chemo, and I was still wanting to have a child with my husband. And I said, maybe if I don't take the last 2, I can preserve some of it. So just out the blue, I get a letter from a woman that I don't know. Someone had submitted my name for a greeting card shower. So all the week, I'm getting these beautiful cards. Well, in one of the cards, a woman with the same diagnosis as me, she's like, I just completed 4 rounds of chemo. Well, I had literally just asked for a sign if I should stop at 4. I go to the mailbox, and
there it is.
there it is. I
Right
mean,
there.
someone with the same diagnosis. And now anyone listening to this, you should do what your doctor says and follow your own treatment plan. But for me at the time, the last 2 I just didn't take, and it's been 18 years. So I do feel like that was a sign. But if you're a young woman listening to this, you definitely should have the fertility conversation before you begin treatment.
So it's very important that you have a good, I guess that's with anybody in your doctor, have a good relationship.
Absolutely.
Because I hear some of the older people at church say, oh, I've got a good doctor, and my doctor comes in and they hug me and they do this and they do that, they have a good, bedside manner. I'm like, okay, well, but are they telling you the right thing on your treatment?
While they're hugging, yeah.
While they're hugging you, and whatever else. And then I look back at your situation where you were probably still grieving to a certain degree of losing 3 friends. Yeah. And that's very hard. Just like, I still today when I think about, my friend, we were there with her every step of the way from the chemo to everything. And then when you have a doctor, a professional, like I said, I'm glad I'm not your blood sister, because I would have went up and said, girl, what's wrong with you? No, that's not. That's not,
We have got to advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. We cannot let doctors take charge of this cancer. This is your cancer. And you're going to have to take possession of it. You're going to have to do the research. You're going to have to try to figure out, is there a clinical trial that perhaps can arrest this cancer?
Let's talk about our reluctance to do clinical trials.
Well,
we know that it's
it.
deep-rooted in fear.
I know Tuskegee experiment.
Yep.
I know about Henrietta Lacks. I
Yep.
know all these things. But I also know that adriamycin did not cure my cancer. My cancer stayed in place after almost 3 years of taking adriamycin, the
Wow.
Red Devil. And I still had cancer. And my
Wow.
doctor still kept plying me with. But what you have to understand is doctors make big money off of chemo. If you've ever looked at your hospital bill from your insurance company, I had chemo was like $6,000 an infusion. And that was not unusual between, adriamycin, Cytoxin. I mean, I can go through the whole spectrum of chemo drugs. And my physician should have been a millionaire at the end of my treatment cycle because I had taken so much of it. Did clinical trial at MD Anderson. I changed doctors, got a clinical trial at MD Anderson almost immediately. It didn't work, but it's still, I wanted to be the Henrietta Lacks of triple negative breast cancer. I wanted somebody to say, Linda Lydia, through her, unselfish commitment to clinical trials, that it found a way to save the lives of some other woman, a black woman, especially because I really am concerned about the fact that black women now are getting triple negative cancer at an earlier age. And most of the cancer they get, less than 35 years of age, is now triple negative. I cannot tell you how many of those I've gotten in the last month. And it's on the rise.
That's what he was saying here, that women not even 50 years old are being diagnosed. And on the clinical trials, that's interesting because they all, when you're on Facebook, you see all these clinical trials come up and they compensate you. So is that really something that they do? Because sometimes I just look on Facebook and I say, oh, they just want somebody to, they're trying to get their numbers or whatever. So do a lot of black women participate in clinical trials?
I participated in one. It was a black researcher in Fort Worth where I had to wear this device and it tracked my body fat and my activity, and I felt safe with that one because it was more of like a lifestyle nutrition study. But for a lot of people, if it's a study that's going to involve a placebo or taking a medication, we don't educate ourselves enough to know why it's so important for us to be a part of those clinical trials. Like she said, we still have the fear. And I just wanted to piggyback on her, what are the knockers called?
Knitted knocker.
Knitted knockers. When I was in a support group meeting in Shreveport, we had an older black woman that came, and she bent over to maybe get something out of her purse, and I noticed she had a tube sock in her bra.
Very common.
And I remember seeing that and wanting to cry. So after the meeting, I pulled her aside and I asked her, I said, I don't want to embarrass you, but I was just wondering, do you not like the prosthetic? And she said, what is that? And I said, oh, your doctor didn't talk to you about these beautiful molds that you can place in your bra? She said, no. So we called the doctor the next day, and he said, oh, I thought my nurse had gone over that with her. She didn't know that she could get the mastectomy bras, the prosthetic. I'm sorry, but I don't think any woman should have to take a tube sock
Exactly.
to give her shape. And so that's just one of the disparities that I see, the standard of care that black women tend to get when they go to the doctor, the lack of information, the lack of resources, the lack of invitations to clinical trials. We still have to advocate for ourselves. And as much as, doctors and clinicians are wonderful, there's still cultural bias in healthcare.
Absolutely.
Because when we were talking about that at the Parkland deal at the library, and I asked a question, I said, well, my thing is as much as I read and I try to look and investigate and try to, knowledge myself, there's still the myth, I think, the myth about black women in that we develop cancer because we're, for a better word, we're uninsured. We don't go get our mammograms. And it goes back because, we can't take off of work to go to the doctor. It's always something where they try to say that black women, that it's not preventable with us. And I'm like, I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that.
Well, we die at a 40% higher rate than any ethnicity from breast cancer. And, it's really interesting you talked about, because I actually printed these off because I hear so many myths that black people think causes breast cancer. And oftentimes I think they figure I'm the bad example. That's why I have so much breast cancer. It's because all these myths have just descended on me, and here I am. But I printed them off because I wanted to go over. So I want your listeners to please dispel these myths because they're not true.
Y'all listen up.
Listen up. An injury to your breast does not cause breast cancer. If you run into a door, you bump into something.
Have a car wreck.
Yeah, that is not going to cause breast cancer. And people with bigger breasts, they think women with big breasts are prone to have breast cancer.
Hello? B cup?
I bought an A cup to start with. So when I had mine removed, it was no big deal. And they think that only affect middle-aged or older women, and that's not true.
Not at all.
We've got people as young as 20 years of age who have triple-negative breast cancer, and it breaks my heart that they have to go through this. And most of them, unfortunately, when they get it that early, they don't survive.
I have a Facebook friend. She was 19 when she was diagnosed.
And how is she? She didn't make it. That's usually the case. It's really sad, and I spend so much time crying about this because I really do want to change this paradigm, that we're not dying like this, because it keeps going up. It was 35% higher, 38, now it's 40%. And the way things are going with health care, Medicaid expansion never took place in the state, as you guys well know.
Right.
And now it's basically going to be eliminated. Affordable health care is on the
Chopping
edge.
block.
Yeah. And and Medicare, who knows what. And then these extremely high co-pays. Yeah. I got people with insurance that have $1,500 co-pays before they can have their next round of chemo. Even with insurance. These things are incredible, and I hear it all because people call me and they need the assistance, and I'm always there for them. But let me finish my myth. Breast pain is a definite sign of breast cancer. It is not. So don't think, my breast doesn't hurt, so therefore I don't have breast cancer. Don't you believe it? It could possibly be.
Then they say itchy breast.
Ooh, that's a,
Itchy breast. I don't know.
that could be a reaction
That's
to
just on
your bra, but
bra
yeah,
or
itching.
your deodorant.
That could be.
I don't know.
I would see a doctor about that if
I
it's
would
a constant
too.
itching.
You know what? Because inflammatory breast cancer is one that really has been impacting black women. And there was a really good article that was done in the Dallas Examiner recently, and I think Sylvia Powell, Donovan Powell, she actually did the article, and it was really good about the prevalence of inflammatory breast cancer, and it's really hard to diagnose.
That's what my grandmother had, and she had ignored hers for so long.
Yeah.
By the time she finally got to the doctor, he told my mother it looked like she had an orange in the armpit. That's how. And she always used to hug me sideways instead of a good hug, and I always kind of took it that she was just a funny acting little old lady. But I bet that it
That was
hurt.
probably
She
it.
hid
It
that.
was
Yep.
pain.
It
Yep.
was painful.
Wow.
Consuming sugar causes breast cancer. It does not. Even though you shouldn't indulge in too many sweets if you have breast cancer. Sweets and alcohol you should try to avoid as best you can.
Yep.
Here's one that everybody always tells me, because I got a girlfriend who does it. Carrying your cell phone in your bra does
Stop
not
it.
cause breast
At
cancer.
all.
But you notice that there are a lot of women who walk around and
Yep.
stick their... It
does
does not
not,
breast
no.
cancer.
They
Okay.
might cause a little burn if that battery gets too hot up in there. One day I was in the store and I was looking for my phone. I'm digging in my purse. Where is my phone? And I said, oh. And then when I touched it, it was like real warm. I'm like, oh no. So I took my phone out, and then it was a lady that I used to work with at the Urban League, and she was outside smoking her cigarette, and then her battery, I think she just got out of the car, her battery actually burst and burned her real bad
Wow.
right here. So after that, I kind of like started not putting my phone
Yeah.
up here, you know. I have to protect the girls.
And I hear people say hair relaxers and or birth control pills cause breast cancer. Let's stop making women feel bad for choices that they may have
Thank
made.
you.
Like
Absolutely.
we don't have any. I don't think there's any conclusive evidence that those two things cause. But even if they do, let's not make women feel bad because the choice to relax your hair or the choice to take a birth control pill, nobody wants to live with. Oh well, look at that's what you get. Those are the consequences.
Yeah. That's exactly how the community. And you know, for the longest, people wouldn't even talk about cancer,
At all.
breast cancer. I mean, people would die, and you're like, well, wonder what happened. And instead of the women who have breast cancer, you need to tell it. You know, I want the world to know I have breast cancer, and I'm not ashamed of it. I didn't do anything wrong to get this cancer. It beset me without me asking for it or doing anything to cause
Yeah,
it.
you know, in fact, while you say that, we were talking about that on the domestic violence show. Good morning, Robin Rayford. About how certain things in the church was so taboo to talk about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, you know, she's sick. Okay, well, what is the illness? I
Yeah.
mean, you know, same thing with prostate cancer, same thing with Alzheimer's. And I used to hear the old people always say, and I guess they didn't have a name, but I'm sure they did, but Alzheimer's dementia. And then they would say, well, you know, she lost her mind. They sent her down the turtle. And I'm like, so I asked my mom one time, I mean, what did she lose it at? She said, shut up. I'm like, what? You know, I was curious little
Yep.
girl, you know. And I was listening to grown folk talk. And there was a lady in our neighborhood. And she also went to the church we all went to. And when I heard my mom on the phone talking, she said, but you know, so-and-so lost her mind, child. They had to send her down the turtle. And she got done. I said, well,
Oh.
why did she lose it at? And she was like, be quiet or shut up or whatever. She told me. I'm like, okay, so it was like, I always see and hear things that we need to talk about,
Yeah.
you know, in the church especially for support. I'm going to talk
yeah.
about support in a minute. So how many more?
I got a few more.
Let's talk about it.
Underwire bras
Do not
Oh, yeah.
cause.
do not cause breast cancer.
They're uncomfortable as hell, but they don't cause breast
But hey, we love them. I used to love them. I don't have that issue anymore. And if you find a lump in your breast, it's not necessarily breast cancer. It could be something else, but you must follow up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, follow up with it.
I mean, think that's where the majority of the problem of being diagnosed comes in. You know, we ignore. You know, sometimes they were talking how we can just ignore it. And like my friend Beatty that passed away, she said, "Well, she said, do you know when she told us all kind of like together about the breast cancer? Said, do you know who discovered it? She said, my husband.
Oh,
she said he
wow.
was the one that
Felt
said,
it
I think
first.
you need to go and have it checked out. And then she did it from the breast. It went into brain cancer, and then it went
Oh,
to, you know.
no.
So she had a long suffering journey. But like I
Journey.
said, she, you know, all is well and she's gone. You know, she's resting in peace. But, you know, I think that's where some of the things come in, and, you know, we ignore it. Oh, it'll go away. No, it's not going to go away. You know, like you said, the follow-up.
And men get breast cancer, guys.
2%. I think.
2% of them. 780 men they're predicting will die this year from breast cancer.
Wow.
We gave away
784?
2 wreaths. Yes.
Beyonce's dad
Had
is a breast cancer survivor.
Yes, he is.
Richard Roundtree.
died from breast cancer. We gave away
that's
2
right.
wreaths this year. One was a big time executive here in Dallas, breast cancer wreath. We gave one to another gentleman who actually has started a campaign about male breast cancer, and I think that's good because men don't want to talk about it. It's just like prostate cancer.
Right.
They don't want to talk about that, but they're dying like flies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we can't talk about it. You need to say something. The other one is a mammogram can cause breast cancer or spread it by smushing
yeah, I
your
heard
breast.
that.
Okay, that's,
I mean, it's just crazy. If you have a family history of breast cancer, you're likely to develop breast cancer. That's not necessarily true, but
No.
you do have a higher possibility of getting it if you have a family history.
especially
for
on the
sure.
maternal side.
On the maternal side, especially. And here's the special one. Breast cancer is contagious.
That's so silly.
That
I'm
one,
sorry,
I've
but
not
come
heard
on
of
now.
That one is contagious. And you know, when all my friends were dying, somebody asked me, "Do you think it's contagious?"
Oh my goodness.
I can just imagine how you looked at them.
I know
I mean,
you did.
how do you respond to that kind of idiocy? I mean, my
Yeah,
mouth
that's-
was just open. I couldn't do anything else. BRCA genes, and I have really been strongly advocating for women who have breast cancer. If they have a daughter, if they have a granddaughter, go get the BRCA test. Your insurance will pay for it.
You know, I did have that test, and my daughter was like, "You can do that, Mom, but I don't know what." She said she didn't want to know because what was she going to do with that information? Doctors are quick to tell you to do a mastectomy and a hysterectomy, and that's a very radical decision. It's a very personal one.
Yeah, it is.
But I agree with you. I think the BRCA testing
The
is
BRCA test is
very
important.
important.
If you've got someone in your family, especially on the maternal side,
Yes.
who has had breast cancer, you need to go and get a BRCA test done.
yeah.
They
Well,
are.
let's talk about that. What is it? Because I don't know. What is a BRCA test? What is that?
It's a test that will show genetic markers
Okay.
for the likelihood that you might develop breast cancer. And Angelina Jolie, I have a noted doctor. Well, she's not a doctor. She's a minister in the Dallas market, and I think I could say her name because she advertised Dr. Sharon Patterson. You know, if you find out that you have that BRCA gene in your family history, you should do something proactive. You should have your breast removed. And you can always do reconstruction if that's what you need, but I think you should do something proactive to avoid having to go through this journey. Because it's a journey. It's not a short trip.
So how important is family and sibling and church and community support after diagnosis?
Well,
I mean, like you said, some people they begin to be so private. Oh, you know, well, I don't want anybody to know, or, you know, well,
that's a sensitive subject for me because I got married a month prior to my diagnosis, and I had 130 people at my wedding. When I think about the year I was in treatment, I can count on 2 hands who reached out to me,
Wow.
who called, who came to the appointments, who sent a card. And so it really revealed to me who I can count on. I have to say the Army Wives Network was wonderful to me, the family readiness. So luckily my sense of community, the military was there for me. We didn't really have a church home at that time. But most women I talk to, they do find out who they can count on. And the numbers are really small.
Yeah, they're small.
People are scared. I actually ended a friendship with someone who made a comment to me. I was talking about something that was going to happen a year in advance. And she said, "Well, do you think you're still going to be alive?" That didn't sit right with me. She was one of those frenemies. I had to end that friendship.
Probably a good person to get off of your list.
Again, I'm so glad I'm not like your blood sister.
Okay,
Yeah,
you have my back.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, that was cruel. I've had people to say stuff like that to me too.
And
like,
then, sometimes when people do find out, because with you two, I know y'all are very strong women, strong black women, like you said, you're involved and everything. And I had always said if I was to develop it, I don't want people feeling sorry for me. And so I can see with you two, it's not I want people to feel sorry for me.
At
once
all.
They find, oh, bless your heart. No, don't do
I don't like
do
that.
Not. It's not. Because I feel like that, of course we know about prayer. We know about our individual special walks with God. And then, like I said, there's such a networking now. But I would want to, and I don't know, I know that I read something about a networking of just black women who have breast cancer or something I saw on.
Yeah, there's Sisters Network,
Okay.
which is, I hate to say, people say, that's like the Black Komen. No, it's like the original Sisters Network.
Yeah.
But that is a national organization for African American women that they provide financial assistance as well, and they have support groups. I had actually founded Sisters Network Shreveport when I lived there.
Oh, okay.
And that's why organizations like what Lydia does are so important, because those grassroots organizations, if you have $100 to donate to a nonprofit, a grassroots organization can do so much more with that than a large nonprofit that takes in millions. Sure, they'll appreciate your donation, but I think you can make a bigger community impact with your local charities.
and let me just chime in on that and give a plug for Bridge Breast Network.
Yes.
Who does incredible things with a few dollars.
They do.
Because of their relationship with the medical community. You can give them $100 and they can turn it into at least a couple of $1,000s worth of services.
Yep.
And that's where we give most of our money to. We also give money to Sisters Network because they have stepped up to help out with getting women, whether it's to treatment or whether it's to help them pay electric bills or water. There are so many other things that takes you through this journey. I've bought insurance, car insurance. I've bought, all sorts of things just to keep women going.
Wigs. I remember going to the American Cancer Society. The lady opened a room and told me to pick a wig.
Oh, they were all
They were all great.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about that.
But to have it's
Yeah, y'all
horrible.
ain't got nothing to 27?
Okay.
33? Okay.
Well, it's really interesting, but we have now forged our way into this breast community as African Americans.
Absolutely.
Because again, even though we have a lower incident of breast cancer, we are dying so much faster than everybody else.
Absolutely.
That's why we have got to get involved in this movement. I don't call it a mission anymore. This is a movement as far as I'm concerned. If you go to my website, that's what I say. We are a movement
I love
to
it.
address this breast cancer that's taking over our community. And we're planning something real soon where we're going to do a all colors cancer event because not only breast cancer, I'm so concerned about our males, not just breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer,
Pancreatic.
and pancreatic cancer that seems to be prevailing. We have got to get on top of some of this and stop waiting and depending on the Coleman Foundation, because Coleman basically is a research arm. And if you call them and ask them for funds, they don't have any funds. They have some little grants that they give out once or twice a year. But I spend a lot of my Uber money transporting their clients to and from treatment. And I'm a small nonprofit. I'm going to be the first to admit it. I am small, but I'd like to think that we do everything we can, and I never turn down services for anyone, whether they're from Coleman or wherever they're being referred from. We understand the dynamics of breast cancer, and we understand the need for us to be in that gap.
Okay.
And that's what we do. We fill in that gap between, that breast cancer journey and other services that they won't provide.
Okay. So, back to you. So now you are a CEO, founder of Crystal Clear Communications.
And Black Girl HR.
That's right. Okay, now I seen that. I'm going to ask her about that when I get her in the chair. So, and I have enjoyed this conversation, ladies. I have really enjoyed this one. 'Cause y'all have really liked me on a lot of things. So tell us about Black Girls HR.
During the COVID pandemic, I discovered TikTok. And so I started doing HR TikTok. And I was really shocked at how my page just took off, and companies would reach out to me to promote their business products. As an HR practitioner, I am different. Yes, I work for a company, but I advocate for employees. I see a lot of discrimination in the workplace when I look at pay scales, when I look at who's likely to get terminated. So Black Girl HR is where I keep it real with employees. I educate them on how to navigate their own challenges in the workplace. I connect them with attorneys when they need to pursue litigation. And really, I've made it my mission to make sure that blacks have a fighting chance in corporate America, because there's a lot of discrimination and racism. And I have a front row seat to it. I'm in the meetings, I'm at the table, and you get a lot of blacks in HR that really don't look out for other people in the workplace, but that's not who I am.
Well, I'm not read. I went on your page, you pulled it up. I went on your page, so I see that you all have been an advocate for, for breast cancer. So, out of all the events that you all have done, which one? Let me put the disclaimer. I know they loved all of them, but tell me which one was like your favorite event that y'all spoke to, or that y'all were able to represent and advocate for.
Oh, wow. I would say I was part of a triple negative documentary that Oprah Winfrey produced.
Oh.
And
okay.
They profiled 5 patients, and I was the only black woman in the documentary. It aired on Discovery Channel. And just being able to share my story, I was also on Dr. Oz. Not a fan of him, but I think just being a part of a documentary, that's something that is, again, part of the legacy, and that will live on and share my story. So for me, it's going to be the documentary.
Okay.
It's called Triple Negative Breast Cancer, Getting the Facts.
I'm going to have to look for that.
I'll say, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have nothing to compare to O.
You are your own O.
That's right.
You are O, yes.
I have nothing to compare. Recently, I was involved with a group of ladies. It was Tell Her Story.
Yeah,
and
you were honored.
Yes, I was one of the 6 women, and we got a chance to tell our stories about our breast cancer journey. And one of them was a local meteorologist who was recently diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And we all got a chance, and we had another young lady, and we always called ourselves flatties because we have no breast, and we are so proud of the fact that we have no breast, because most women who have had mastectomies tend to opt to have breasts one way or the other, whether it's stuffing them with knockers and please no tube socks. I've got a funny story about that too, I can tell you. But at any rate, that was such a great experience. It was at South Dallas Cultural Center. That was a real honor. Mm-hmm. And recently, I was honored by DeSoto, First Ladies.
Yeah, Rachel Proctor, Mayor Rachel Proctor.
Yeah,
wow.
Mayor Proctor. And I was really proud of that too, because I didn't even realize I had gone, but I get a lot of accolades and recognition because of the fact. And I tell everybody it's because everything I do is free. Everything else, you go to the health fairs or other places, people are charging for things. I don't charge for anything, and people always question me. Matter of fact, I got an email last night. I always get that question, how much do you charge for your beautiful breast? Wreaths. And I don't charge for anything.
Wow.
So we have that reputation, and that we will reach out to anyone who needs assistance. It doesn't matter where you are. I've sent wreaths to New York. I've sent wreaths to California. I've sent wreaths all over the country. And a matter of fact, I've started getting boxes made, especially for shipping wreaths, because we do send a lot of wreaths and things out, but we understand the relevance of it. But no, I'm waiting for Oprah to call me so I can get my chance to.
Okay.
Oh, give us a call. I'll give you some conversation, Miss Oprah Winfrey. So I know that October is always such the prevalent month for awareness, celebration, remembering. So on the off months, what do you all do? 'Cause I know y'all are busy doing October, especially this month. But like on the off months, what do you get involved in? What do you do? I know you're fundraising
Fundraising.
and you're PRing. So far as breast cancer advocacy, what do you do on off months? Like Rosalind said about domestic violence. Domestic violence just doesn't happen in October. It happens every month. Breast cancer women are diagnosed on November 1st. They're going to be diagnosed in December. They're going to be diagnosed. So what do you all do, or what do you find yourselves doing on the off month?
I promote wellness in the workplace as the HR director.
Okay.
So obviously the focus in October is breast cancer, but I think just having a wellness program that has mental health and any other type of wellness, that's how I keep the overall. And I had an employee come to me 2 years ago and ask me to fill a lump in her breast, and that was a awkward request. I did feel it. I told her to go to the doctor. It was stage 4.
Oh, Jesus.
And had I not shared publicly at work as part of my fabric, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I'm always open about that because you'd be surprised how many employees tiptoe and say, hey, my wife has a lump, or I have a lump, and so to answer your question, I advocate for overall wellness in the workplace throughout the year.
So, Crystal, and let me ask you both of y'all, why do you think that? I mean, it's more to it than I just don't want nobody in my business. I mean, and that's what sometimes we say,
Yep.
just as black women, just as women,
Yep.
So why do you think that people want to keep it such a secret and keep it so, I mean, like I said, people can say what they want to, and I'm very proud about my health, but for some reason, like I said, when I got the pneumonia in the lung, I was like, what?
I've had that a lot.
So,
Shame.
why do you,
Shame. People think it's when you have cancer, it must be because of lifestyle choices. If someone has pancreatitis, oh, he must drink a lot. No, maybe they had a reaction to an antibiotic. I think it's just the miseducation forms the opinion that causes the shame.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important that we dispel these myths that exist out there. It's really tragic that we have to do this kind of education in 2025, but it is necessary if we're ever going to bridge that gap from illness to wellness. And when we're not in October, I truly do a lot of health fairs. I am an ambassador, a research ambassador for United.
Speaking of that, NAACP is having a health fair.
On the 8th of November.
Okay.
At Beckley Sainer Recreation Center.
Okay.
And we do a lot of health fairs. We still promote knitted knockers. We still promote obvious needs that people have, whether it's rides to the polls. I'm thinking about it, voting now. Rides to treatment or whatever. We are still available. And so we do a lot of health fairs, a lot of community health fairs, the kinds of things that you were talking about Parkland needed to do. And I'm also an ambassador for Parkland.
Okay.
For Parkland, and I'm a research ambassador for UT Southwestern, and I really am proud of that accomplishments because I will get a chance to look at some of these research grants that are being offered to perhaps go into clinical trial to perhaps address, and I always advocate for triple negative research. Those are the ones that I'm really most concerned about because I want to make sure that there's a built-in place in those research options for people to go to who are volunteering to be a part of the studies for transportation to and from whatever the research is, dollars for daycare. I mean, just all of the things that are needed so that we can get more African Americans into that
Absolutely.
pipeline. That's the only way we're going to try to find something that will arrest the spread of triple negative and other cancers that affect our community.
And
Cancer doesn't take a break, and we don't either.
No, can't take a break.
When people say to me, or when I talk to a female friend, and she said, well, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't go, oh, I mean, I think that's why people sometimes don't tell because, like I said a while ago, some people, especially we as strong black women who are, we're always advocating, we're always busy, we got families, we got church and community. We don't want people to feel sorry for us.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people don't tell because They don't want the, oh,
Sympathy,
bless your
the
heart.
condescending, yeah.
Because I know if somebody told me that, I'm like, bless my heart for what? God, I'm gonna be all right. Trust
Yeah.
me.
Exactly.
'Cause I'm trusting God. Then
Yeah.
I get into my little, my little tantrum or whatever. Then I will move on. But yeah, I think that's why, and I've always wondered why people are so quiet or don't want to tell when you've been diagnosed.
Well, if you really want to help someone who's been diagnosed, if you were to ask me, do you need anything? My natural response is going to say no. Be more intentional. Hey, I'd like to have dinner delivered to your family. Is Wednesday a good day? Hey, you're probably not going to be able to cut your yard. Can we come over and tend to your yard on Saturday? Yeah, we were talking about yards and stuff. Be intentional. Hey, can I drive you to your next appointment? That's simple. Do you need anything? No, girl, I'm good. Okay. Stop with all that because we are going to be too proud to let you know that we need help. Hey, do you mind if I pay your cell phone bill this month? Just be intention, and I think it'll be appreciated more.
That is definitely the case. And when someone calls me, and it's always so interesting, someone will call me and say, Linda, this girlfriend of mine, she has just gotten diagnosed with breast cancer. The first thing I do is, okay, where does she live? I need to take her a book. She's got to learn the nomenclature.
Yep.
She needs to know what to expect going forward. So that's the first thing I need to do is to get her something that can educate her and try to answer any questions. Go with them to their first appointments if possible, if they will allow that, because they go in there and they're blindsided. They are blindsided by the physician. These things like, is this going to affect my fertility? If I go in there with someone who's 25 or 35 years of age, I need that doctor to talk to her about that.
And the medical literacy, everybody may not understand, like you just said, all those terms
They don't
coming at you
understand
and
it.
doctors
So
speak.
y'all said a couple of times today that I didn't know what it means. We say after listening to YouTube,
Yeah.
I would ask them, do you like your doctor? Is your doctor trying to be funny with you? I mean,
We got leaders that can't even pronounce acetaminophen, so the average
thank you.
person can't understand.
Oh, let's not talk about that
But
medicine.
you know what I'm saying, though? But think about it. All that jargon coming at you, that's overwhelming.
It is. It is really overwhelming. I mean, the types of chemo, and the biggest thing is, what type of cancer did they say you have? Breast? Yeah, I know it's breast cancer.
Insight
I got that.
Yeah,
I got that.
carcinoma,
That's why
IBC,
somebody-
triple
But
A.
we need to know what kind, so I can tell you what we need to start thinking about and doing to move forward. Because the kind of breast cancer you have is really relevant.
Very.
It's real
And staging, too.
Yes, it is. It is. And if you're stage 4, I'm not going to talk to you like I would stage 1. Trust me. My conversation with you will be a lot more urgent.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot more urgent.
Well, ladies, I think my hours almost up. Hours almost up. But I did take the liberty of getting some books for suggestive reading. It's called Breast and Owner's Guide, Dr. Philippa K. I read the
Okay.
first couple of pages of it. And then Living with Breast Cancer. And this one is by Jennifer A. Shin, David P. Ryan, Vicki A. Jackson, MDs. And the step-to-step guide to minimizing side effects and maximizing quality of life. And then the other, it just simply says, okay, the owner's manual. So we know we own our own, so Every Woman's Guide to Reducing Cancer Risk, Making Treatment Choices, and Optimizing Outcome by Dr. Christy Funk. That's an interesting name. Forward by Cheryl Crow. I think Cheryl Crow was like a singer.
Who was also a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah, Cheryl Crow. So I always tell people, just put out there, go by your library, just sometimes it's a getaway, look quiet, and I always pick up books and I kind of start reading them, then I check them out, then take them back before the next show.
Don't forget, Karen Jackson, who founded Sisters Network, has a book. It's called In the Company of My Sisters.
In the Company of My Sisters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's a
Yeah,
good book.
I didn't see that one in the lineup yesterday because I was looking for, specifically asked for books from African American.
I will get you a
women.
copy.
Okay, that are survivors. She was like, well, I don't see it up there. I said, okay, I gotta go. I'm gonna give me
I'm
some
gonna
chicken.
get you
or
both a
whatever,
copy.
Because, and when you ask for, they do. They're polite about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, let me see. Maybe it's over here. Girl, it ain't in here. So
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and it's
not.
fine if you don't have it. Just don't kind of like you blowing smoke at me about well, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Just give me what I'm asking for. If you don't have it, I'll just move on.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not gonna call the library board and all that, So yeah. But I want to tell you all, thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank you for
today.
inviting me.
You all have certainly enlightened me on a lot of things, and really y'all have encouraged me. Because I do go get my mammogram and so far everything is
you.
okay.
Yay.
Yay. Just
Yes,
turned 65.
always.
All right.
This been the last day of October. I wanted to go out with the survival story, with the boom. And I got double boom today.
Yay. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
And that is our show for today. We will see you all November. Thankful month, grateful month. So we're gonna have some things coming from our military, from our some veterans are gonna be coming up. Got a show coming up on pastoral
Okay.
power couple. I'm not gonna share that right now. I'm gonna let it be a surprise.
Okay.
But I wanted to kind of put that out there. And again, thank you all. Thank you to my listeners on the Quitting Community Conversation, Afterparty.com. And this is our show for today. And remember, wellness. Give me another word.
As well.
Wellness is well.
I love
To
it.
me.
Leave it to that.
Priceless. Love it.
Lydia. That PR. That PRD over here. I have been suffering with my sinuses, you all, for the past couple of weeks. And then we had a press conference the other day, City of Dallas, about 287G. So November the 6th, which will be next week, which will be a day before the show. Maybe back up. November 4th is election day.
Yes.
Take your souls,
To the
take your
polls.
whoever to the polls, and you all need to vote. There are 17 constitutional amendments that are going to be on there. Read, study, call me, whatever, and we can go through those constitutional amendments for you if you don't understand. But again, today's the last day for early voting.
Okay.
Polls close tonight at 7. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is election day. And next week on November the 6th, meet us at City Hall on November the 6th, which is that Thursday at 9 a.m. in City Council chambers. You'll be able to speak out on the ICE situation. Our mayor trying to force is it $25 million?
Yes.
$1 million with our new police chief to have ICE in our city. And I'm like this, if they get here, they get here on their own. Our city is not for sale.
Not for
Eric Johnson, I hope you understand, our city is not for sale. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself doing what you're doing at City Hall. And you three again that are holding out, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Our city is better than that in 2025. Again, wellness is wealth. Love you too.
Love you.
All right. And listeners, that's our show for today. And again, what do I always say? Oh, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Your Quinta Community Conversation signing off and signing out.
I was gonna say you ain't gonna do your better, good, better, best.
He's deceiving. You ran as a Democrat and
I
then
don't
switched
want. I don't
parties.
want to talk about.
There should have
Eric
been a
Johnson at all.
special,
I told people
election.
from the beginning that man was not good when he was first time.
Don't move yet. It's still recording. They can't hear y'all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, y'all can talk,
I
but
know I'm talking about something I did like this. Why would you-
don't move just yet. I'm finna turn it off.
I live in the city of Dallas, but we have some good viable candidates who should have been elected. But that citizen council boy, they sent him out there to St. Mark's and they educated him and they groomed him and he's still citizen council boy. And he's gonna stay that way. And I don't know why he needed to come out where he was Republican. I always knew he was Republican.
Erica after school called me one day and said, "Did you hear about Eric?" I said, "No, what?" I thought she was telling me.